365 with Jacque Howard. Profiling the businesses, organizations, and people that make Trenton.
And welcome to Trenton 365. What is this called? A very, what is this when it's a different edition? When you come on a different time?
Got me.
A special.
Special. There we go.
See? Sort of like Jacque. This is a special edition of Trenton 365. I am your host, Vennie Stansbury. You are watching on WPHY, and if you look on your cable guide, you're going to look for SBN. And you're listening to WIMG, your 3-time Stellar Award winning station and your 1-time Praise Award winning station. As I stated, I'm taking over Trenton 365 for 30 minutes, and on the other side is the person that should be over here, but you know he's a slacker, so he decided to be a guest. Hi, Jacque.
How you doing? Thanks, Vennie, but I don't think I've ever been called a slacker before, so that's a first.
And with all the stuff that you have going on, which is a lot, I think slacker is an appropriate term.
I think I'm gonna get a t-shirt that says slacker not.
Right, well, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I can't give you but so many compliments a day. and so therefore, I think I gave you one yesterday. And it hasn't been 24 hours.
Okay.
But you do have a lot going on. And I will say Trenton 365, the community page is booming. It is booming. See, that's another compliment. So you got to take them in. All right? And it is booming. And Trenton 365, the show, I've heard people ask me questions. Well, I would like to be on Jacque's show. And so me being the loving person I am, be like, well, call me. Like, why am I going to do his work? Like, I'm his secretary. A lot here.
And, you know, I always like to give credit where credit's due. And you get a lot of credit for introducing me to this lifestyle of radio and television. So thank you.
Yep. So I am the reason you are everywhere.
Sort of, yeah.
Well, actually, no, I won't say that, because God is amazing. And he speaks in my ear and he says, this is what I want you to do. So the avenues that he takes people, I'm only responsible for doing what he said. So this opened up a door, but with this, you are booming in the city of Trenton, and people are asking, like, is he running for office? He got to be running for office. He's not doing this just because. And I'm like, no, I really don't think he is.
Yeah. So
do you plan on running for office?
No, absolutely not. I've got zero ambitions for any political office, mainly because I think that I know that I can get more done without the bureaucracy on my own, and through the social capital I've developed over the years of being here and being a community advocate or someone who's engaged in civics. So I have no intention, for those who are watching, I have no intentions on any political office whatsoever. I've got friends on both sides of the fence and in the middle, and I am quite certain there are people who are doing positive things in lots of different ways, and there's also people doing lots of not nice things, and it doesn't matter what political party you represent. So I'm all about the human, and recognizing, because of my faith as a Christian, I look at people, all people created in the image of God. So I'm looking for God in everyone. So therefore, I think that's what allows me to get into these different positions, to develop certain relationships, etc. And as of right now, I don't feel politics is something that I could continue to do what I do if I was involved in that industry.
I'm glad to hear that, because actually politics do tie your hands, and that's one of the reasons why we take the stance that we do here at WIMG. And Maggie makes it very clear that we will not take political sides on the air. Now, what you feel personally is what you feel, but politically taking sides is doomsday. Because then you're always stuck. And so that's a good thing to know, that you will not be stuck. There are things that you're doing with Trenton 365 that I admire, because you bring the arts. And you made me think about the arts a little bit different. So in your mind, what is the arts?
Sure. So anything that is created by human hands, I consider to be art. So, of course, that's music, and that's also visual arts like painting and photography and things of that nature, but also things such as this beautiful bottle of water. Shout out to Jersey Shore Cosmetics and their brand of water, Quattro H2O, which I'll be repping. If you want to get in touch about that, hit me up on social media or send me an email, Trenton365show. But this bottle itself is a different shaped bottle. It's got a different texture. Someone came up with the design and the concept to make this bottle this shape, to come up with this cap, to design the artwork on this logo. And that's art. And we live it each and every day, whether it's the chairs that we sit in, the cars that we ride in. It's all designed by a human being, generally. And to me, that is the true identity of an artist. And who's the best and biggest artist of them all? God.
Work it.
Hey, that's it.
I love that. Trenton 365. Why that name?
So the city where I was born, this is just the focal point. It's the capital of New Jersey, and regardless of what people think, this is where America was born. If George Washington didn't win the first Battle of Trenton, followed by the second, and then the Battle of Princeton, our country would look totally different. So this is really the birthplace of America here in Trenton, New Jersey. And if folks want to chat about it, I'd love to have you come to the city, and I'll give you a little bit of a tour and let you know what I know and share some of the people and experiences that have helped me get better understanding of what the history of this city is. But 365 is the number of days. Every single day of the year, I'm living Trenton. And that may not be me posting or me sharing every single day, but what that is, that's in my blood. The city of Trenton is in my blood.
You were born and raised here, you said?
I was born here but raised in Ewing, but at that time Ewing wasn't even its own municipality, so to speak. It was considered a suburb of Trenton. So
you're a little old now.
I'm seasoned.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll use that.
Yes, it's seasoned.
I'm going to be nice because I'll be seasoned next year.
Nice.
You say Trenton. And so that means you did not have my third grade teacher who took that out of me forever. Most people that were born here or raised here, they will call it Trenton because that's what we did. So in the third grade, that teacher told me we would wait $100 gift card at that time, $50 gift card was on the stand, and that was when I was in the third grade. So $50 to Toys R Us was a lot of money. And so I was perfect all year with my spelling words. So I had to do the capital of New Jersey and the city. So you had to stand and say it. And I said New Jersey, all attitude, you know, Vennie-ish in the third grade. Really? Anyway, as I roll my eyes for those that are listening, I stood up and I said, oh, New Jersey. And I spelled New Jersey. And I said, and the capital is Trenton. And I spelled it. She said, what's the capital of New Jersey? And I said, Trenton. And she said, wrong. You do not live in Trenton. You can spell it right, but you're saying it wrong. So therefore, this is the first miss you had all year because you live in Trenton.
Well, I want to interrupt that there because, and this is something that sticks in my craw a little bit. First of all, a lot of people don't even know the history about why the city of Trenton has the name that it does. It's named after the original founder, William Trent. The O-N was added on. All right, to signify that it's a city, a town, etc. But I'd like to talk to people who have this fantasy thought about other countries and different dialects and accents. So if I was from another country and I said, I'm coming from Trenton, everybody would think it was beautiful.
Right.
But because I'm from Trenton or because of the color of my skin, I'm supposed to speak in a certain way. So we're going to get into that kind of stuff a little bit later in the year when I start knocking down some of these barriers and things that we have. Because oftentimes, especially people of color, we are always put in these particular boxes. And it's gotten so bad and so systemic that other people of color are putting other people of color in boxes to elevate themselves in some capacity. We find this all the time in academia and higher education and all those different things. Look, I'm worried about what's happening right now, today, in my neighborhood, around the corner, in my block, on my block, etc. We need to be better human beings, period, and then we can progress and do all this other finagling and so forth. So I'm sorry I'm getting off on a little tangent.
No, that's
but folks tell you what you can and what you can't do, and that you should be dressing a particular way, or you should be speaking a particular way, especially if you're someone who is rooted in the truth and you're trying to do the best that you can. Just keep it moving.
Cardi B, I'm always say her name incorrect, but she is who comes to mind to me, because at first it took a lot for me to listen to her because I couldn't understand it. And then once I started seeing her heart on her sleeve, her diction became a lot better toward me, because I realized that her heart is big, and it goes to what you're saying. Don't let anyone stop who you are because of what they feel you should represent.
And for those who are in the listening and viewing audience, I'm going to take it just a step further. So if you came from a background that was a non-traditional background, or if you came from a systemic community that had lots of problems, like bad education, maybe you grew up in poverty or something of that nature, there's going to be life experiences and things that you're going to miss. That doesn't have anything to do with where you are today, but you may have missed out on some things just because of the situation in which you were born. Where you were born and where you were has, in my opinion, it's little significance to where you're going.
Amen. Amen. So speaking of where you going, you started here doing one thing. Now you are like all over the place. As you said, you're repping this water that has some caffeine infused in it, which is unique and different. You are also repping a clothing line. Men over 50 who want to be in good health. I say that with quotation marks. No, you really are. You're representing the area in which you live, Mill Hill.
No, Franklin Park.
Franklin Park.
Yep.
Mill Hill is...
It's a well
because you do a lot for Mill Hill too.
Yeah. So when I started to really understand and really, I always respected the media access that I had, but when I started to understand the power behind it, when I was out in public and people were stopping me and asking me questions and saying, I hear you on the radio, or I saw you late night on TV, I started to realize that this isn't done in vain. So it behooves me to do the best that I can to share the positive things. And so that comes into, like, I drink this water, so I'm going to share it with the folks. It's a, Jersey Shore Cosmetics, give them a shout out for Quattro Water. But Enokin Fitness is another one. I've known Nacone for, most of my life. She's a really good friend. She's a fitness model and an actress, and she's got a great clothing line. So I wear her clothes. I mean, none of the things that I do or that I represent are done mischievously. One of the other products that I'm doing some things with is Harry's razors. Everybody knows I got a bald head, so I hooked up with Harry's razors, and Harry's razors now is I've got some of the products, and you can go to my Facebook page, Trenton 365, and you can see the coupon on there, and you can click on that. You get a discount on any purchases, etc. So there's a lot of cool things that are happening, and it's access that you get when you are someone who's involved in the media. And I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, and it's amazing, but I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. So people are watching, and you start to develop a relationship, and people are respecting it. So I honor that.
That is great. If someone wanted to get in touch with you, because you have a couple of other good things that's coming up, and I want to talk about that on the other side of the break. But if someone wanted to get in touch with you, how could they do it? Sure.
So the easiest thing to do is an internet search for me. My name is Jacque. Last name is Howard, traditional spelling. Or you can send me an email, Trenton, the numbers 365 show, SHOW, @gmail.com.
Do it again.
Trenton365show@gmail.com, or my name, Jacque, Jacque, Howard, on the internet, or you can do a search for Trenton and the numbers 365, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Before we go to break, I want you to give a shout out to your wife and daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of stuff that you do, I tease you all the time. But the thing is, and I said it to a couple of people, if you don't have a strong foundation or a backbone, there's no way you could be out there and not have her have a shotgun every time you leave the house, or sniffing you every time you come back.
Yeah.
So give her a shout out.
Sure, yeah. So my wife, Vanessa, I've known since I think we met when I was 14 or 15.
That amazes me every time you say that.
Yeah.
That she's still here.
Stop. But anyway, you know, it was one of those things. You know, we fell in love, and you know, we off and on dated for a long time. We've got our 19th wedding anniversary coming up in May. And we've got a 15-year-old daughter. That's they're both just really good human beings, and indeed. I don't want anyone to think that everything is always perfect and smooth sailing. Any two human beings are in a relationship, you're going to have tough times. Yes. But I think the consistency in weathering the storm is really important. And Vanessa and Maddie are tremendous for everything that I do. And I personally, I would not be doing what I do or have been able to do what I've done if it wasn't for the support I've received from my family.
Well, I do want to always give a shout out to her, because I'm grateful for her being so lenient. And if I call you at the last minute and say, Jacque, I need you to do, you kind of pretty much don't say no. And I appreciate that. But you don't say no because of who you have at home.
Indeed.
And I appreciate that. We're going to go to break. And when we come back, I want to talk about Passage Theater. I want to talk about the work you do with them. Also, the work that you have coming up with a theater company or a film company.
Philly Theater Week, yeah.
Okay, that I want to talk about that. And then I want to talk about other little things that you're doing here in the city.
You got it.
All right, my name is Vennie Stansbury. I'm sub-hosting Trenton 365 for Jacque Howard. We will be right back.
Heart disease is the nation's #1 killer, and stroke is number 5. But the good news is 80% of cardiovascular diseases may be preventable. February is American Heart Month, and the American Heart Association wants you to know your numbers, learn your family health history, and discuss risk factors with your healthcare provider. You can take action to end heart disease and stroke. Visit GoRedForWomen.org or call 609-208-0020. Go Red for Women is nationally sponsored by CVS Health. WIMG 1300 AM is a proud media sponsor of Go Red for Women.
Need a truck to move? Let Justin's Rental of Selman's BP save the day. Justin's has the right trucks for all commercial and residential moves. Justin's has the moving supplies and boxes available. Justin's Rental at Selman's BP has everything you need for your move at affordable prices, featuring the best in pickup trucks, 10 and 15-foot box trucks, and vans. Justin's Rental at Selman's BP is located at 2596 South Broad Street, across from the McDonald's in Hamilton. For your rental truck needs, call 609-888-3327. That's 609-888-3327. Justin's Rental at Selman's BP. If you are moving, we have the trucks to meet your moving needs.
And welcome back to part 1 of Trenton 365. I'm your host, Vennie Stansbury. Across from me is the person that should be on the other side, but as you can hear all the stuff that he has going on, he's a slacker. Like, you hear all that stuff, you can tell Jacque Howard is a slacker. And we're going to talk about what else he have coming up, which really is why I just had to give him that name. Okay. Hi, Jacque.
Hey, how you doing? You know what? I want to go back to the whole slacker thing, because a couple of times I've been verbally abused in public, and not by you. I mean, these and these were people who were really, really upset with me. And like one time somebody called me out, like in the middle of a restaurant. You don't do nothing. You're a bleep, dropping F-bombs. It was horrible. And the face that you're making is, I was like, really? Like,
oh my goodness.
I'm not doing anything?
What?
And I'm going to say it actually kind of hurt. But you know what it did? And I think that this is the wonderful thing about when you're spiritually rooted. Because I checked myself and I started to backtrack, started looking, reflecting back on what I'm doing. And I was like, no, No. And that was actually one of those moments where, you know, for those of you who are spiritually connected, like, there's times where you really know God is right there, literally right there. Yeah. And I started reflecting back, and it was like, God was like one of my boys, and was like, yo, come on, man. Don't even worry about that. Let's go. Let's keep it moving. You're doing all right. And it changed my mindset a bit.
You know what, though? I believe that God puts all those things in our path to make us take a step back and recognize where He's brought us from, what He is doing. Because sometimes we could get moving, and we're not listening. So when that guy did that, he made you take that step back. And now you're like, hey, I do it in joke because I think you don't sleep, and I just don't understand when do you go home, but I think it's a beautiful thing. That's why I told you to shout out your wife, because there's no way you could do as much as you do.
Yeah. So I'm in the process of writing a book too, and one of the things is I'm doing a lot of reflecting back on my life, and the people who were, like, I've had amazing people in my lives, but you know, there's always a few people that really stick out to you, and one of them is Doug Means, who's an industrial engineer who I worked for him for many years when I worked for Jones, New York, and Doug taught me about time management. And some of those skills that he taught me, I still use to this day, and that's, you know, decades ago. And I want to give him a shout out. In addition to that, one of my uncles, Isaac Howard, was also amazing as well, with exposing me to a lot of different cultural things and getting me out of this area, getting me out of the neighborhood, etc. But, you know, getting me to Philly and New York and so forth. So those two right now are coming to mind, and that's really important too. I think most people in their progression as you know, getting better, is having people in your lives that are going to really do some amazing things to help support you and encourage you.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So that's why you always got to pause to thank them too.
Sure.
Because those two women in your life are amazing, and they'll let you do what you do. You also have a partnership with one of our partners, which is Passage Theater.
Sure.
Love Passage Theater. They just recently had Story to My Unborn Child.
Yeah, so
Fred Hampton.
Yeah, so Passage.
Explain who he is too.
Sure. So Passage Theater, first of all, is a nonprofit organization. It's a 30-plus-year-old theater company here in Trenton. Functions out of a building owned by the city of Trenton, the Mill Hill Playhouse. And my relationship with them, and particularly with Damien and Ryan, but also Stelline, who are the leadership there. I've got a great working relationship with them, doing some marketing things, etc. And most recently, this weekend and previous weekend is a series called Solo Flights, where performers come in and do a one-person performance. Last week, it was Fred Hampton's play, Letter to My Unborn Child. Fred Hampton was a member of the Civil Rights Movement and the Black Panther Party. And last week we had Bobby Seals in town, and Bobby Seals is the original founder of the Black Panther Party. And I was fortunate enough to spend some time with him and to have dinner and to see the play, and it was absolutely amazing. And Mike Bradford was the performer. This coming weekend is Bicycle Girl, with a woman, her name, excuse me, I don't want to say woman because she identifies as being gender neutral. The name of the performer is Hannah. I'm working on that, folks. The name of the performer is Hannah, so I'll be going over there on Sunday for the matinee at 3 p.m. with a bunch of people who are into the biking culture here in Trenton.
Gender neutral.
Gender neutral. So she doesn't, I apologize again. The identity doesn't go with male or female, him, her, or she, or anything. It's just gender neutral. And I'm learning. So
that's new for me. I've never heard it, so I'm really floored right now. I've never heard of it.
And I think it's a progressive movement that you're going to see a lot more of it going forward. But that's how I was told to reference the performer named Hannah is gender neutral.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. I did say I wanted to go see it because I was interested. I saw last weekend the Story to My Unborn Child, and I loved it. And he did let us know in the beginning there's going to be a lot of cussing. So for all you saints out there, there's going to be. But I absolutely loved it. And he said that performing in front of one of the original Black Panthers was amazing for him. So kudos to that. Now you also have another partnership that you're doing with another theater company.
Sure.
Talk to me about that.
Sure. So Philadelphia Theater Company has a program called Philly Theater Week. And last year, myself and Jeff Stewart, who's a local filmmaker, we partnered with Philly Theater Week to have it here in Trenton because they wanted to expand. And we did it last year at Champs, and this year we're doing it at the Trenton Coffee House and Roaster. And I'll run down my schedule for Saturday. But long and short of it is that Screen Test 2 is professional actors who are going to be remaking their favorite scenes, and they're going to be doing it live. So it's going to be pretty awesome. We'll live stream it and video record it and so forth. But if you allow me, I'll go through what I have going on this Saturday, which is going to be a pretty busy day for me.
This is why we gave her a shout out.
So Saturday morning, in partnership with the Civic Association that I started and where I live in Franklin Park section, Franklin Park's Northeast Block Association, we're doing a food distribution event. This is free food that'll be given out to the general public from 9 to 12 or until the food's gone. This is done in partnership with Mercer Street Friends, and I encourage you to go to the website mercerstreetfriends.org. From 1 to 3, one of my favorite projects is Library Boxes of Trenton, which is an initiative I started to help distribute reading materials throughout the city of Trenton in upcycle, repurposed public art boxes, which were newspaper boxes but are now little libraries technically, and WIMG has adopted one. So when you ride by, you can actually see that out front. And there's lots of cool reading materials in there. But I'm starting a podcast and a live stream that's going to take place at Classics Books and Gifts from 1 to 3. This will happen the third Saturday of every month. So I advise people to come on and check it out and stop in, get some books. Any Trenton, New Jersey child can get free books from Classics Books and Gifts. So I encourage folks to get down there and see me and come take some pictures. I may even have some swag giveaway, maybe some Quattro H2O as well. In addition to that, again, Philly Theater Week is happening from 6 to 8. That's going to take place at Trenton Coffee House and Records, which is located at 750 Cass Street in Trenton, New Jersey. That's owned by Abdul. Cool little spot, vinyl records, coffee, etc. And we'll be there doing that.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So explain to those people who don't know what a podcast is.
Sure. So just envision what we are doing here if this was done and posted and shared via social media for people to actually hear it and for them to also see it as well. So it's another effort of distributing video and audio content. And I want to make sure that no one forgets this. I'm looking for interns, and I'm looking for all disciplines of interns, whether you're into fashion, fitness, health and nutrition, you're a journalist, you're a photographer, you're a filmmaker. I've got a ton of projects coming up, and this is a great opportunity for anyone, young, old, or if you just have a passion for doing this and you're not necessarily in school to be an intern, but you want to get some real world experience, you want to have your name on some projects that are going to get distributed worldwide, hit me up. 609-433-0489, Trenton365show at gmail.com, or on any of the social media platforms at Trenton365.
Give the number again.
Sure.
Slow it down.
Phone number 609-433-0489. Email Trenton365show at gmail.com, or on social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Trenton365.
Jacque, thank you so much for letting me interview you for the first 30 minutes. You do have a lot going on. And anybody that just hear me, if they heard me say that you are a slacker, they can hear all the stuff that you're doing and tell that that's just not true. Awesome. I tease you because I love you, but I am very proud of you and what you are doing in the city of Trenton with bringing awareness. And that's when anybody asks me to describe you, I say he loves to bring awareness no matter what it's about. So thank you for being a part of our family.
Oh, thank you, and I appreciate the kind words. Folks, you have no idea how awesome it is for her to say that she loves me.
Yeah, because I'm about to get off the air. Part 2 is coming up next. 1300 WIMG.
Heart disease is the #1 killer of all Americans, claiming more lives each year than all forms of cancer combined. By making a commitment to stand with the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women movement, you can take action to end heart disease and stroke. February is American Heart Month, and the American Heart Association wants you to make a commitment to your heart. Make an appointment with your healthcare provider to be aware of your numbers, such as total cholesterol, body mass index, and blood pressure. Move more every day by adding physical activity to your routine. Eat smart by making healthier choices and adding more fruits and vegetables to your diet. Simple steps can help you live a longer, stronger life. Join the movement by visiting goredforwomen.org or call 609-208-0020. That's goredforwomen.org or 609-208-0020. Go Red for Women is nationally sponsored by CVS Health. WIMG 1300 AM is a proud media sponsor of Go Red for Women.
And welcome back to the Trenton 365 Show. Send me an email, trenton365show@gmail.com, and you can find me on social media platforms at Trenton365. In the studio with me in the second half of the program is Eileen Sinett. Now, Eileen's got a bunch going on, and I think if you're involved in business or marketing here in Mercer County, New Jersey, more than likely, if you have not seen or met Eileen, more than likely you have seen or met someone that she has worked with. So we're going to be talking about coaching, we're going to be talking about some marketing, some branding things, etc. And then we'll get into some details about some of the projects and things that she has coming up. And most importantly, encourage you to get in contact with her. Now, before we do that, I do want to show those who are watching on television this wonderful piece of marketing. This event is coming up on February 24th, and it's done for Black History Month, and it will take place at the Capitol Philharmonic of New Jersey at the War Memorial Patriots Theater on February the 24th. So for those of you who are interested in the theater, if you're interested in the orchestra or the symphony, check this out, and you can find out more information by going on the internet, searching the website for Capitol Philharmonic of New Jersey, or capitolphilharmonic.org. I apologize, no New Jersey added in there. Okay, so Eileen, well, it's been many years since we first met, but it's awesome to actually have you in the studio. How have you been, number one?
I've been good. With a little cold, but that's seasonal, and I've been really fine, thanks.
And I would have not expected you to say anything other than that, because how you present yourself right now is how you always are. You always have this constant smile, always willing to talk and to engage with people, and I know that has to do something with how you've gotten into this business of coaching and marketing and branding, etc. Can you share a little bit about your background, and then give the contact information for your business, and then let's get right into it.
Okay, background first. I started off with a master's in speech therapy, which brought me to helping people with disabilities. And then after a downsize from Rutgers Medical School, I opened a private practice. I had business people knocking on my door asking about public speaking, and I decided, because I like performance, that I would shift from developmental disabilities and rehab to what you would say is the business person who has a little bit of an insecurity or need to develop their executive presence or their public speaking skills.
And are you from this area originally, from New Jersey originally, and if not, what brought you?
I am a Middlesex County born female here, and I did go to college in Boston, but other than that, I've been very New Jersey centric.
Great. You know, while you were speaking, and for those of you who aren't watching on television, the broadcast of this will be on Friday night at 11 p.m. over at WZBN or Channel 25 in Mercer County, New Jersey on Verizon Fios. But you presented what you were saying as if it was a theatrical performance. Now, I have not seen you speak in person, but I've heard some wonderful things from some of your clients about how you've helped them progress to where they are now, one of which is Bart Jackson, who is a good friend of mine as well. So can you talk about, okay, you made this transition from the speech therapy, from I guess teaching it from a medical standpoint to presentations or allowing people to do public speaking. Can you just talk about like the idiosyncrasies involved in that?
The shift?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of see it as the same thing but easier. Because when you have a disability, the role of the clinician is to assess the problem and then create a strategy to get them in incremental steps to their next target. And that's exactly what I'm doing with business professionals, except they don't have a, quote, disability or a handicap or a challenge, as they call it now. So the idea is to take an assessment, a soft interview, will give me enough information to say, okay, now I know what you want, now I see what I see, let's get to where you want to go. What's your goal, what's your objective? So it could be a president giving a graduation speech of his vocational school. It could be an executive in a big pharma company who is going to be on stage. It could be a pastor whose homily is not to his liking or her liking. And it could be a bar mitzvah kid sometimes. But most of my clients are professionals, business professionals.
Now, business professionals, I think years ago they were considered these untouchable people. They were just presidents or CEOs or CFOs, etc. But now, if you're leading a corporation, you've got to have that presence. You've got to look sharp. You've got to explain yourself in a clear and present way, and you almost always have to be on. As a coach and as a public speaking professional, do you find that there's still a large percentage of the people who are unsure or don't really fully grasp the importance of that?
I would say that at the very top, once you've made it, you might not care as much.
Okay.
But it's the succession group, it's the emerging talent that the top management is grooming for the next leadership position, and I have a lot of those types of clients. So they may be a 35-year-old superstar, 40-year-old superstar, but they're not in the executive suite yet. But they're being thought of as having the results and the skill sets, but let's polish them up a little bit. And it could be anything from mannerisms to speech style to grooming. It can run the gamut when they talk executive presence. But presentation becomes the core of it. How do they sound in front of a group? Do they have a good, clear message? Are they confident? Are they connecting with the audience? The big three.
What's your contact information?
Okay, Speaking That Connects. www.speakingthatconnects.com, 609-799-1400.
Now, in the first couple of segments here, you've talked a lot about a very wide net of who your clients are, from youth who may be a speaking engagement like a bar mitzvah, like you mentioned, to a seasoned executive or someone who's like a very high talent, air quotes, superstar in an industry that's transitioning to the next level. Is there any particular group that you have recently seen more as a client?
Oh, any specific? There are many groups. So I would say the 30-year-old emerging talent is in the pharma corporate arena, a very big group. I also see people with accents and international global backgrounds who want to make sure that they're as polished as can be. Does their accent get in the way? Are there cultural differences in how you present? I would say that's another group. And I think there's a women's group as well for speaking with more confidence and personal presence.
And being here in New Jersey, I think, really helps out, because you mentioned big pharma companies. I mean, we are a very diverse community here in New Jersey. We have a lot of wealth. It's one of the wealthiest states, and Mercer County and Middlesex are very wealthy counties, etc. So do you find that you've got a large base of clients who are ready?
Well, I guess if I had a sales rep, I would find that I'm really ready. But having a business for as long as I've had a business, it's always, marketing and looking for the next opportunity, going to network meetings, presenting, creating workshops that sometimes not for profit, and that will introduce me to new audiences who might then be potential clients.
Now, you touched on something earlier about pastors. Because a lot of times, especially in pastors of large churches, and we'll call them mega churches or whatever, and pastors who are of color, African American, Latino, Hispanic, etc., generally they're always told they're charismatic and so forth. But a lot of times the charisma may not be enough to get the message across. So you get a chance to actually work with them to maybe fine-tune things a little bit. Is that correct?
I've never had a too charismatic pastor or clergy person, but I have had pretty rote reader type pastors, which are they're not African American, by the way, but so one of the goals was to bring that person into this scripture, because they're just reading it. It's pretty boring to me. And I've had someone who had a speech defect, who was a clergy person, who needed to override some of that speech articulation difference and still become very powerful. I wouldn't say that clergy makes up the bulk of my business, but yes, I've worked with different people.
All right, great. Now, I wanted to be clear for the folks who are listening and watching the program to reach out to Eileen, because again, we're trying to grasp a very large net of trying to stimulate you to get involved in this, but you can work with lots of different people. I mean, if there's an educator who does presentations before groups, those types of people are available as well, right?
Absolutely. Right now I have a client who's going to be the recipient of a Woman's Award for her volunteerism, and she's not yet as comfortable as she'd like to be receiving that award in terms of making remarks. So that can be a type of client, someone who tends to write out word for word, who's a memorizer. And I would say, like Bart Jackson, writers in general are very married to their scripts. They love their words. But I think when you're in front of an audience and it's not a State of the Union address, there can be a much more engaging way of speaking that's more conversational. So it's what do you want to say? Not necessarily write it out, but let's bullet it out. Let's create the roadmap so you know you're going to get there. If you say any word, you can speak about it without having to script it. So I'm a little more involved with getting people to own their messaging rather than to write it and memorize it. I guess I'm a little bored in an audience of listening to well-written but not powerful speaking for that written script. So I like the entertainment, I like the energy. It's really more energy and edutainment, as they call it, but I need that heart of and soul of a person on stage or in front of an audience to grab me. And
we're going to get into a bit more about that, because that's something that seeing you in public and watching how you maneuver through a room.
You've been watching me.
Oh, I've been watching. Like we were just at Passig's Theater for one of the events there. Just watching you navigate through the room, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that.
Okay.
I've got Eileen Sinett, who is in the studio with me. We're going to be talking about a lot of details about public speaking, coaching, and also your independent individual branding, which is also a bit of this as well. You're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show over WIMG 1300, and we'll be back after a short break.
Add another amazing event to your Stellar Award weekend by celebrating with Root Magazine. Gospel's #1 magazine is celebrating their 10th anniversary in grand style on Thursday, March 28, 2019 at The Space, located 3460 Cavaretta Court in Las Vegas. with a live band and performances from two-time Grammy winner Hezekiah Walker and LFC, Stellar Award winner Tasha Page Lockhart, Keandra Lockett, Jordan Armstrong, Keith Wonderboy Johnson, Gospel's newest band, Sincere, My Black All-Stars featuring Grammy winners Erica Campbell and Warren Campbell, Jason Champion, Lena Bird Miles, Jason McGee and the Choir, Innovator Award recipient and 9-time Stellar nominee Jonathan McReynolds, and more to be announced. General admission is $25 and VIP admission is $40 and includes a Route 10 swag bag, VIP reception, valet parking, commemorative 10th anniversary editions of Route magazine, and preferred seating, so get your tickets today. To purchase tickets, go to bit.ly.com/Route10, that's bit.ly.com/Route10, via Eventbrite by searching for Route Magazine Las Vegas, or visit RouteMagazineOnline.com. Route 10 is sponsored by RCA Inspiration, Ty Scott Records, My Block Incorporated, Lookup Radio, and D3 Entertainment Group. St. Jude is a charity partner of Route 10.
As I often say, well, first of all, welcome back to the Trenton 365 Show. You can send me an email, trenton365show@gmail.com. I often say that the bloopers and the behind-the-scenes, off-the-air conversations are awesome. And even in the production booth, where my lovely and talented soon-to-be sidekick, Vennie Stansbury, is over there right now, we have a really good time here. In the studio with me is Eileen Sinett, and Eileen has been talking a bit about her history, but long and short of it, she's a speech therapist. She can help you with public speaking. She can help you if you're a pastor with doing presentations. And then we were just talking about something that a lot of people don't really think about, but that's also, how do you present yourself or conduct yourself when you're in an interview? I mean, oftentimes you can go and just read off of something on the internet or a booklet about, hey, just a certain way and do this and do that. But it may help to have someone who can sit with you, who can actually teach you, hey, some of the mannerisms that you have, how you project your voice, etc. And I think Eileen can do that as well. So Eileen, share your contact information, and then let's talk about the importance of the services that you offer and how that can be utilized for someone who's going for an interview.
Okay, so speakingthatconnects.com, that's www.speakingthatconnects.com, and 609-799-1400. That's how you can reach me. And as far as an interview goes, you know, back in the early part of my career, I had one of my first opportunities, and I was working for a career management company. It was a mom and pop group, and my role was to videotape the interviewees after the head of this organization had already coached them. So that was when I bought my first suit. It was way back before I did that. And I had a camera, and I videotaped the interview. And what I learned from this man, I don't know if he's still around, Frank Need, was who had worked with What Color Is Your Parachute? So I'm giving him a little bit of a kudo, was really to have a presentation in mind before you go into the interview, after you do your research, because you have to do your research on the company and whatever you can find out about your audience, whether it's a one-person audience as an interview or a very large audience, whatever you can find out is really worthwhile getting that information. But he coached his people who were outplaced executives on 3 areas. He said, know what your personal characteristics are, know what you're good at, and tell me a couple accomplishments. And when you and I now package that for my clients. 3 adjectives to define who you are. You may say friendly, hardworking, and gregarious, but I might say soft-spoken, self-managing, and let's say controlling. Some of those words are going to work for you, some of them aren't. But to really look deeply at the job description and who is going to do that job? Who are you? I'm a this, and this kind of person. Who is really good at this and this? Let me give you an example. So I did this, and it demonstrates my skills and my personality. That's really the gestalt. It's like a little nugget. And you don't memorize it. It's just your back pocket response or modification of a response when someone says, do you work well as a manager, or are you better off working alone? If you know who you are and you know what you've done and you know what you're good at, you can answer that question in that realm.
You know, you just, and this often happens, folks, when I have guests in, which is why when I bring guests in, I want to talk to them just as much as I want to introduce you to them. So, Eileen, you just gave me a nugget, right? I'm thinking about that, not elevator speech, but that thing that's, it's always there in your mouth. It's always ready to blurt out. And for me, it's taken a while for me to develop that. Do you encourage people to self-reflect and figure out those core principles that are theirs so that at any given moment, they're ready to say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I'm good at?
Especially if you're going for a promotion or if you're going for an interview, but even in the networking area, you could have three of the same type, occupations, three dentists. They're not all the same. They may have similar training. They may have similar backgrounds, but each one is a different person. So how do you define yourself? You mentioned the word branding. So I say I promote confidence, clarity, and connection in speakers worldwide. Someone else might say something else. And for me, speaker confidence, message clarity, audience connection or engagement, those are my, keywords. We're in a society now, we're in a social media world of keywords. So it's even more important. What are your branding keywords? Whether it's for yourself as you're networking and talking about yourself or your business, or whether it's for an interview.
Wow. And if you were to, say you were working with a group of high school students who are about to embark on higher education, they're about to go to college, and they may go through that interview process in some capacity, what would you suggest to them? Besides coming and taking a course, speakingthatconnects.com, right? Or by calling Eileen at 609-799-1400.
So I think there's nothing more important for anybody than to know who they are and to be authentic. So what I would tell seniors graduating and taking interviews is be yourself. Be your authentic self and plan ahead a little bit by doing your research and know how you can describe yourself, what you've done that showcases your skill set. It's the same idea. Just give you an example. When I do my program, 4 Points of Connection, which is a presentation program, it's based on 2 mentor relationships learnings that I've had in my course of being a professional and entrepreneur. One of my mentors taught me skills from the outside in, how to stand, how to look, how to express with your gestures, and how to organize a speech. My other mentor taught me how to be spacious, how to be connected, how to be real. And it had nothing to do with structure and organization. I don't think the best is one or the other. I think the best is having outside skills and inside skills. So really feeling the who you are as you speak what you've prepared is the authenticity that I think really influences people much more. That heart connection, soul connection. If everything else is equal, the ticket is your personality, vibration, chemistry, and you can only be who you are. So if you don't hire me, and I have all the credentials, because someone else also has all the credentials and you vibe better with them, that's reality. But if you are authentic, feel proud of yourself, you did a great job. You'll move on to the next one.
You know, oftentimes you spoke about synergy, and this happens like when I'm sitting across the table and I'm interviewing folks and chatting, is that you literally, it's almost like you went inside of my head and pulled out something. But one of the things I wanted to ask you, or at least share, was that you can prepare the best that you can. You can be equally qualified with someone else and may not get that opportunity. That just happens. That doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. It could just mean a choice, one or the other, 1A and 1B. And for people to not get discouraged, if they put this effort in, this time and this research, this studying, this preparing, and then they don't get what they were seeking, just keep on progressing. So how do you handle sharing with your clients, the ones who feel as though I've done everything I was supposed to do, but I still didn't get it?
Well, it depends on what it was. If it was a job interview or a promotion, something like that, we might examine what was done and tweak it a little bit. But if it was done well, it's my job as a coach to reinforce the positive and support the person in their disappointment moving forward. Can't win every game all the time, forever and ever. I think it takes wisdom over time to learn that without getting down. And believe me, even though I've been around for a while, I still can, feel disappointed. You get an opportunity to be a consultant for a firm, you have a second interview, a third interview, and then it doesn't happen. I'm going to be disappointed, but it's not going to crash me. I'm going to move forward. One client said to me, every setback is an opportunity for a comeback.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. That needs to be on a T-shirt or something.
Exactly. I'm not sure it's original. Every setback is an opportunity for a comeback. And he was a client, and he did not get the promotion he wanted. But his attitude was that. And he influenced me by that really truthful way of responding. He was disappointed, but his energy was about, let's move forward. There's a comeback coming up somewhere.
That is, if you could figure out who that is, and because when I share it, I want to make sure that the credit goes to the right person, if you can recall who that is. But that's absolutely amazing, and I think that hits spot on. So we got about 3 minutes left, but I do want you to share a little bit about things people should avoid.
I think you should avoid reading what you are going to speak on. So, like I said, unless it's a very, very formal event like a State of the Union address, we talk like this. We have no script in front of us. We talk to our families, our friends, our associates without scripts all the time. Conversation is much more prolific than, say, a presentation. We do a lot more conversational speaking. So I don't think preparing by writing is the right way to go. First of all, it's a portrait. It's a top-down, like we learned in high school. Roman numeral 1, A sub 1, 2, 3, etc. That's a very linear way of thinking. I would prefer a landscape orientation with some flow chart. So it's a view at a glance, and your brain actually processes better when it sees geometric shapes with language in the boxes rather than all words from top down on a page. So that's one of the tips in terms of how to organize a presentation, but you probably need some training from me to be able to do it. I do have a book, you could look it up there, but a workshop is a possibility, or private coaching as well. I'll tell you what else not to do besides reading. Reading, brings me to eye contact. And the most important thing when you're addressing a group is to see somebody and talk to them as if they are one-on-one with you. And so your eyes have to neurologically learn how to look here and talk, and then continue the sentence over here, and then influence someone over here. So eye contact is very important. So anytime you don't have eye contact, you have a hole in your connection. What else can I tell you? Don't have a lot of busy slides.
Great.
Your slides are not your presentation, you are.
Unfortunately, we're up on the end of the program, but I promise to have you back. Will you come back?
I would love to.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Eileen Sinett has been my guest. You can reach out to her by calling 609-799-1400, 609-799-1400, and the website is speakingthatconnects.com. You've been listening and watching the Trenton 365 show over WIMG 1300, New Jersey's oldest radio station. Have a great night.
Thank you.